our region. It is an honor for me to address this conference focused on the future of governance in the Sahel. Here in Banjul, we are united by a common purpose to reflect on the challenges of our region faces, and to collaborate on solutions for lasting peace, prosperity, and development. The Sahel stands at a crossroads of partnerships, cultures, aspirations, and historic choices. We gather here today because we recognize the need for fresh thinking. The voices of our citizens, especially our youth, demand governance that ensures peace and stability while delivering dignity and hope. Therefore, our discussions must be rooted in current realities, yet bolden us to envisage a future of celebrating resilience and ingenuity of our people. We meet in uncertain times, uncertainty about regional integration, about the state's ability to manage security, and about what models of governance to adopt to achieve development. In the context of geopolitical competition and diversification of partnerships, some neighboring state countries are at loggerheads with each other, threatening to the gains of regional economic integration, good neighborliness, and peace coexistence. Our deliberations, therefore, must balance tradition and we can forge just and effective governance. As we shape the next chapter, we cannot avoid tough questions. We must also start looking at the role political parties are playing in our countries and explore how to enhance their positive contribution in building more inclusive and participatory societies. Democratic governance is hollow if it fails to deliver basic service and true inclusivity. Promoting good governance is central to United Nations mission. The UN does not promote uniform models of governance. Systems must reflect each nation's unique realities. As such, the study to be launched rightfully raised important questions about the UN role and supporting governance, development, and political change. UNOS remains committed to supporting the next steps and implementing recommendations honoring the valuable contributions of all involved. I thank everyone for their dedication to better governance in this area. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'd like to call on the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman of the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, Chairman of the West African Elders Forum, my boss, yes, my boss, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
Thank you so much. His Excellency, President Adam Maboro, the President of the Republic of Gambia, thank you for being with us and for hosting us. Your Excellencies, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me first and foremost thank the President and the government of the Gambia for hosting us in this maiden edition of the Sahel Governance Conference. And, let me sincerely appreciate UNDP for putting this together and working with the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation and International Ideas and the government of Gambia to make sure that we're here to have this conversation. Time given to me is very brief, so I'll be also try to be brief. I'm always worried about conferences because of a drama I watched in the 70s titled Holding Talks. I always want to know what we gain at the end of the conference. And when we were to come, I called my secretary on my media aid and say, okay, we're talking about this Sahel. What is special about this Sahel that attract the World Bank, attract the United Nations, to the extent that the UN will have a special representative just on the Sahel? And what occurs to me is crisis, terrorism, and banditry. And I asked them, which other part of Africa we have similar condition? And we look across. Yes, we have conflict in a number of countries, sometimes because of stupid struggle for leadership. But then the next part of Africa that you have a similar condition like the Sahel is Somalia. And I looked through the literature, and it's clearly that the climatic conditions in Somalia and the vegetation is very, very identical with that of the Sahel. Arid savanna, dry land. And for me, that if I look at the parts of Nigeria that are within the Sahel, the northern Nigeria are upward of latitude 12 degrees north. The states, Sokoto State, the whole state is within that region. Other states like Bauchi State, Borno State, Yobe, Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, only the northern parts of the state, not the whole states. And these conditions, Africa south of the Sahara, they are all agrarian societies. And these areas, you must convert what you have in the natural environment to create wealth. And in these areas, the farmers farm for about only 4 or 5 months of the year. So the rest of the year, you almost have no work to do, no productivity. So people living under this condition will surely be poor. And when people are confronted with this kind of scenario, definitely you will expect major conflicts that will come up. No matter the margin. If you read Al Gore's book, Earth in the Balance, the former Vice President of America, Vice President of the Clinton, he devoted one chapter to look through history, how empires collapse because of similar conditions, environmental conditions, and devastated environment, including France. Even the collapse of the Roman Empire, crisis in Germany, Switzerland, and all these areas. If you come to Nigeria, in the 80s, we had what we call the Maitasini religious riots, or sometimes Maitasini urban revolution. And initially, people thought that it was linked up with religion, until one person, Bako, then was a lecturer in ABU, went to the cells where the arrested people were detained. And after taking inventory from where they were living before they migrated to the cities to cause this revolt, you know that they came from the Sahelian region, and mainly those areas that they had major drought in the 70s and the river pest epidemic that affected cattle rearing. Even the non-Nigerians that participated in those revolts from Burkina Faso, from Niger, from Mali, from northern Cameroon, migrated from areas that were affected. So what I'm saying is that if we must get the Sahel managed, the key thing is that we must find ways to create wealth in the Sahel. We must find ways to create wealth in the Sahel. And that is why when I was the president, I just have to summarize because there's no time. I did 2 things. We started rehabilitating all our irrigation projects in northern Nigeria. The current president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Additional, was my Minister of Agri. You can ask him. We said they're rehabilitating. We said we must rehabilitate all the irrigation projects in the Sahelian region and even start fresh new ones, because farmers must cultivate at least 3 times in a year if you must create wealth in these areas. When people are poor, they can do anything. The young people can do anything to survive. And that is one of the greatest problems we have in Somalia, we have in the Sahelian zone. The second thing I said that we must also rehabilitate, and that one UNDP is here, we must revisit the Great Green Wall Project. The Great Green Wall Project was initiated by the World Bank. And of course, AU launched it, I think, in Lagos in 2007. But after that, it collapsed. And I said, well, let us start in Nigeria. And if it is working, we can push other countries, where we're supposed to plant trees from the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean across these areas, to make sure that the desert no longer pushed down. In fact, that year we didn't have any, because I started that year, 2015 or so, before the election. We had no line budget for it. I have to release 10 billion naira from the Ecological Fund to that agency that I established under Ministry of Environment, and we initiated that project. Somehow I lost the election. I don't know what has happened to. And so, to me, UNDP can give the technical support to the countries. The countries will play a key role, supported by the regional or state governments in the case of Nigeria, and we must revisit that. And the key thing is that we must make farmers in the Sahelian zone to crop at least 3 times a year, or at worst 2 times, if we must create wealth, if we must manage security. And I believe these are possible if the countries are willing to do that, with the support of the UN, the World Bank, and you have a UN rep in this zone. So to me, we have so many panels that will be discussing technical things today and tomorrow about the Sahel. My request to the moderators is that please let everybody tell us how do we create wealth in this area, that the environment is very, very fragile. And people find it difficult to convert the environmental resources into means of actions for survival. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency.